The Approaching Epidemic by Mark Twain. One calamity to which the death of Mr. Dickens dooms this country has not awakened the concern to which its gravity entitles it. We refer to the fact that the nation is to be lectured to death and read to death all next winter by Tom, Dick and Harry, with poor lamented Dickens for a pretext. All the vagabonds who can spell will afflict the people with readings from Pickwick and Copperfield, and all the insignificants who have been ennobled by the notice of the great novelist or transfigured by his smile will make a marketable commodity of it now, and the sacred reminiscence to the practical use of procuring bread and butter, the lecture rostrums will fairly swarm with these fortunates. Already the signs of it are perceptible. Behold how the unclean creatures are wending toward the dead lion and gathering to the feast. Reminiscences of Dickens, a lecture by John Smith who heard him read 8 times. Remembrances of Charles Dickens, a lecture by John Jones who saw him once in a street car and twice in a barber shop. Recollections of Mr. Dickens, a lecture by John Brown who gained a wide fame by writing deliriously appreciative critiques and rhapsodies upon the great author's public readings, and who shook hands with the great author upon various occasions and held converse with him several times. Readings from Dickens by John White, who has the great delineator's style and manner perfectly, having attended all his readings in this country and made these things a study, always practicing each reading before retiring, and while it was hot from the great delineator's lips. Upon this occasion, Mr. W. will exhibit the remains of a cigar which he saw Mr. Dickens smoke. This relic is kept in a solid silver box made purposely for it. Sights and Sounds of the Great Novelist, a popular lecture by John Gray, who waited on his table all the time he was at the Grand Hotel, New York, and still has in his possession, and will exhibit to the audience a fragment of the last piece of bread which the lamented author tasted in this country. Heart Treasures of Precious Moments with Literature's Departed Monarch, a lecture by Miss Serena Amelia Tryphenia McSpadden, who still wears, and will always wear, a glove upon the hand made sacred by the clasp of Dickens. Only death shall remove it. Readings from Dickens by Mrs. J. O'Hooligan Murphy, who washed for him. Familiar Talks with the Great Author, a narrative lecture by John Thomas for 2 weeks his valet in America. And so forth and so on. This isn't half the list. The man who has a toothpick once used by Charles Dickens will have to have a hearing, and the man who once rode in an omnibus with Charles Dickens, and the lady to whom Charles Dickens granted the hospitalities of his umbrella during a storm, and the person who possesses a hole which once belonged in a handkerchief owned by Charles Dickens. Be patient and long-suffering, good people, for even this does not fill up the measure of what you must endure next winter. There is no creature in all this land who has had any personal relations with the late Mr. Dickens, however slight or trivial, but will shoulder his way to the rostrum and inflict his testimony upon his helpless countrymen. To some people it is fatal to be noticed by greatness.